Hi, I'm Kyle.
I'm Josh.
This is Two Guys, One Car.
Welcome to our car.
Dude, it starts with Two Guys, One Car. That's the name. It should start
It's
with
welcome to our car.
No, but it has to start with Two Guys, One Car because that's the name of the thing.
Just get in the back seat.
Ride along with us.
What are you up to today?
Nothing. I'm just meeting some friends for lunch.
Oh, sick. Chilling. Yeah.
Trained this morning, so
Yeah. So do you train every day?
yeah, 6 days a week.
And your training's all, to give context, you play water polo.
Yes.
Who do you, so I know you represent Australia. So who do you play for? Just give us like the context of.
So in Sydney, I play for University of New South Wales.
Yeah.
And then, but at the moment, for the past two seasons, I've been playing in the Spanish league. So I play for San Andrea in Barcelona. So that's like October to April. So I'm halfway through a season now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wait, so you go over there to play? Oh,
Yeah.
far out.
Yeah.
And you don't stay there? Because you said...
No, I do. I stay there October to December,
Oh,
and
sorry,
then there's
yeah.
a break over Christmas, so I come home, and then I go back early Jan and stay there until like April.
Damn,
Wow.
That's sick. And how did that opportunity come about? Scouted or?
Yeah, the coach he needed a centre back, which is my position, and he just contacted me and was like, I need a centre back. Do you want to, this is my offer. Do you want to sign? And I was like, yeah, okay.
Was that the first overseas opportunity you had with water polo?
Yeah. That was the first, me being approached by a club. So that was
How was
pretty
that
cool.
feeling?
At the time, I knew nothing about the European League. I knew nothing about the club. So I was just I had nothing tying me down to Sydney. So I was like, why not? If it's a terrible experience, the least I got out of it was living in Barcelona. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
And now, looking back at it, I'm like, wow, that was actually a massive deal. And I just had no idea the significance of it.
Yeah.
Damn. So you realized it was almost after you accepted the opportunity, you realized how big time it actually was.
Yeah, well, when I was probably halfway through the season and I had played every other club in Spain once, and I had, realized who I was playing against, I was like, oh, okay, this is a big deal.
This is legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that sort of the normal, I guess, process in terms of, because the goal I assume would be to represent Australia in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the normal progression people go through? Is play for a university, go overseas?
Well, it would be to play National League, which is UNSW, who I play for in Sydney, it's affiliated with the university, but you don't need to be there to go. So I started playing there when I was 16. So it would be to play National League, and then to get selected to go to your state institute, and then from your state institute to be selected to represent Australia. But because Australia is so far from everyone, it's really expensive to get a team over to play a friendly match or something. So the Australian coach wants as many girls as possible in the team to get over and play for a European club or to go to college in America and play in the college system. Just to get a lot of games under our belt and to get the experience.
That's so interesting. So it's kind of a unique in terms of other countries doing water polo. It's they have a completely different experience.
Yeah.
Because they maybe play more matches there. But for you guys, you have to actually go out and seek those.
Yeah.
Which is almost, I would argue, there's a bit more self-development in the system that we would have, because it forces you to go out and look for opportunities. And for you, moving overseas for half a year to live in a foreign country, it, I don't know, promotes a bit more self-growth, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I went to Arizona State University in 2019 for a semester, and that was a massive personal growth stage for me, because it was my first time living out of home, but on top of that, I was on the other side of the world. I knew no one there going into it, and I was in a completely different time zone. So I just feel I grew up really quickly.
Yeah. How did that opportunity come about?
Same thing, I was scouted by the coach there, and he offered me 4 years on a scholarship, and I signed, but I only ended up doing a semester. Wasn't for me.
Yeah, what were kind of the factors that you didn't like?
I was actually injured going into that. So I was there to be a part of the team, but I wasn't training with the team. And it was just really isolating. And also in the college system, because they invest so much money into their sports, you are kind of like wrapped in this bubble. And I really hate being micromanaged. Like it is my worst nightmare. So I was just like, I feel like suffocated almost. And I'm also not doing what I came to do. And their sports med, they don't have physiotherapists.
No way.
No, they're called athletic trainers. So it's a different degree. I would say they're less
educated.
Yeah. So it's like you have your sports trainer and then a surgeon. There's nothing in between.
Oh.
Yeah, an orthopedic surgeon. So I just needed to do some solid rehab for a couple months, and they're like, no, you need surgery.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, no, I don't. So.
So you feel like it was almost just like a resource thing? Like you didn't really have the resource, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I'd love to just dive into, like, because you're 22, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're our age. I guess, like, I really want to dive into how does this even come about? Like, this obviously starts as a seed, so this is a dream for you at some point.
Yeah.
Like, when did you first realize, like, I want to play?
I think I was 16 when I was like, I actually want to give this a crack, because I made my first junior Australian team, but I was in the reserve team.
Okay.
So they took two junior teams to New Zealand to play in a tournament there, and then the A team stayed on and played a test series against New Zealand, and the B team went home. And I was in the B team, and I really, really, really wanted to play in the test series, obviously. And then I was like, okay, like it hasn't just naturally happened for me. I need to make some changes to my life and my training to get there. And so I was like, okay, I actually need to give this a solid crack and focus on it.
To be 16 though, and say to yourself, like, I need to make changes in my life if I really want to pursue this, it's pretty rare and special, because most 16-year-olds aren't thinking like that.
Year 10.
Yeah,
like, that
literally.
is not,
Yeah. I was super driven. I don't know what it was.
Did you find it quite isolating, or did you have like a close group of friends who shared similar morals and values?
I'm really close with my water polo friends, and at that age, I was playing for a really good club, and so there was a couple girls that were in the mix. So I had a really solid group of friends, but it was definitely isolating when I was, you're 16. Everyone wants to go to parties and like do fun stuff on the weekend, and I'm like, oh, sorry, got training. So like that side of it was isolating, but
the sacrifice is well worth it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the word sacrifice.
Yeah.
I prefer choice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, because saying sacrifice implies that you were supposed to have those other things, but you left them behind. But you are saying like, I actually wanted this instead of that.
That's
such
a
a
good way
choice.
to look at it.
I did not see
I've
it.
never ever thought about that.
No one's making me do it.
Good point.
Like I can say today I've had enough.
That's so sick.
That is
Yeah.
so great.
I never would have thought of that.
Yeah.
That's
feel
such a
like-
great outlook.
Is 16 like a normal age for someone to actually, like, is it usually younger, or is it around the teenage years where someone maybe starts getting into it?
16 is the first, like the youngest you can make a junior team,
Yes.
under 16s. But I had been playing water polo. I started when I was 11 and was just playing club. And that's like 11, 12 is probably the normal age, because most kids get introduced to it in high school. It's a high school sport.
Yes.
So yeah, it's about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were playing for 4 or 5 years before you realized you really wanted to give it a go.
Yeah.
Were you, like, what gave you the confidence that you could give it a go? Were you just naturally, like, decent at it?
I think it was a mix of things. I played for a really good club, but it was a really small club. So there was 3 girls my age that were always brought up into the team above. So the older team. So I was one of them. So I was always playing with older girls. And so I naturally wanted to train harder to keep up with them and not be able to muscle up against girls 2 years older than me that I'm playing against. And then I also just loved it. Like I just loved water polo. I had played a lot of sport as a kid, and I had never found something that I was like, oh yeah, this is for me. Yeah.
That's so cool. So to have that feeling must just be so special.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is my thing.
And on the like physical side of it, you said that you didn't want to get muscled around by these girls. It is quite like an aggressive sport,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It's physical. Yeah.
Because I haven't watch too much of it. I watch it when it's in the Olympics, but other than
Mm.
that, not that educated. So like, what's the actual? Obviously, the objective is to score points.
Yeah.
Is it played in halves, quarters?
4 quarters, yeah.
Okay, how long are each quarter?
It's 8 minutes, but it's real time. So every time there's a foul, clock
Time
stops.
stops.
Yeah.
But you're still in the water,
Yeah.
treading water.
Yeah. So a quarter ends up being like roughly like 15, 16 minutes.
Mhm.
So it would be an hour game.
Damn, and you're in the water for like an hour. There's no, you can't hold on to anything.
Is there a
right?
bench?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. So you can
sub.
get subbed.
Yeah, yeah.
And then what's the rules with like underwater attacks or whatever it is, like physical touch?
It's if the ref doesn't see it.
No
it's,
way.
Yeah.
Damn. And would you say there's like other teams that are known for being quite like
Oh
dirty
yeah.
in that sense?
Oh yeah. The Italians are
Yeah.
the worst. Absolute worst.
Wow.
They're so dirty.
Far out.
That's
That-
wild.
It's funny that like the underwater stuff, like I feel like you get away with so much.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Well, you like if the ref can't see it,
Mm.
they're out of the pool.
Yeah.
They can't see it. It's
It
fair
must
game.
be hard because for me, I always found like when I played AFL and stuff, it was kind of like same go. Like if the ref can't be watching all the players, so you can just do whatever. And I'd really get fixated on like wanting to hurt people, and which would just like pull away from the game plan. I feel like if I was playing water polo, it would be a lot
Just
more.
be a bloodbath.
Yeah,
like-
it's just like die versus like focusing on the game plan. Do you find like the girls you play with, is it all about strategy and teamwork
Yeah.
versus like just
Yeah.
that player, mine?
And I think it's like you need to go out and be physical
Yes.
just to kind of try put a team in their place early on. Not dirty, but it's not in the Australian culture in water polo to be dirty.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if someone's going to start something, you're not going to be like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
let them walk over me.
Yeah.
Like if someone's tried to like come at me, I've always felt like I've got my team around me that are going to like back me up.
Yeah.
But never have I gone out and just been like, oh, I'm just going to.
That is so
Yeah.
frightening. Like to face like athletes like doing this as their career. Like this is what they do. Like to just piss one of them off would just be the most frightening thing ever. Especially in something like water polo. It's funny to see like all sports, no matter what you do, like whether it's golf, whether it's whatever, it's like you get so competitive. It's such a mental thing,
Yeah.
the physicality behind it.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever you actually do, there's always going to be something. Like you see darts.
Yeah.
Like you see darts, like they're playing darts and they just get so like, because they're just talking shit to each other.
Yeah.
And then they start like shoving each other because they get so angry.
Yeah.
So no
'cause-
matter what competition you're playing,
There's always a bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
and on that level, it would just be like, you have to be, like you said, you have to be somewhat physical. Like, and especially because it is obviously a physical like sport, you know.
Yeah.
Have you ever had anything like, what's the worst thing that's actually happened to you?
Probably the worst thing was in a training game against Greece. This Greek centre, she's my age, so I've always played her through juniors. This year we went to Greece and we're playing against them, just doing a bit of training. And it was just like on every game, every single game. She was just going after me and I was just like, this is exhausting. And it got to the last game. And because we're playing in Greece, we have Greek referees. So they're just getting away with murder. So I had really good position. It should have been a penalty, but it's a Greek referee. They're going to give me nothing. She just had me in a headlock.
Oh my
Just
goodness.
she was on top of me and she's probably like 100 kilos and just had me in a headlock. And I was just like underwater, like can't
Dying.
breathe.
No
Oh my
way.
gosh.
Yeah. That was pretty nasty.
That's wild. Do you ever panic? Like for air?
Yeah, I did then. That was probably the first time I did.
Yeah. That's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary. Has anyone ever died in water polo?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, yeah. Because it's wild. Like, do you guys do much breathwork training and stuff like that?
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah.
Not to prepare being held under, but it's really good for like VO2 and
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure. Because it's kind of one of the only sports where you can't really find that much rhythm with your breathing. Like
Yeah.
everything, obviously out of the water you can, but even swimming you can find rhythm in your breathing. But water polo, it's going to be like
Yeah.
fast aggressive burst, and then you're chilling. So it's hard to. I can imagine it would be hard to find rhythm, and
Yeah.
that I don't know. That always freaks me out because that's when I can't get control of my breathing, and then if you're held underwater or whatever, it's like
Especially at like that heart rate. I feel like my heart would be so jacked if I was
Yeah.
playing water
yeah,
polo.
because it's
So
high intensity, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole thing is just sprinting,
Yeah.
throwing, etc.
what does the usual training regime, I guess, like now look like for you?
I'll do like a week for me in Spain, like in season. I'll do gym 4 mornings a week, which is weights and then like CrossFit.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I'll do pool 5 mornings a week, which is usually an hour and a half, hour and 45. And then 4 nights a week. So what's that, like 14 sessions a week or something?
So at least, so mainly 2 a day.
Yeah, 2 a day.
Sometimes 3 because you have a day off.
I have Tuesday night off. Wow. And then I have Sunday off. So we play Saturday, Sunday off.
Damn, that's nuts. And you said, so 2 morning sessions, like one is weights, one's the pool.
Yeah.
So what time are you starting your day?
In Spain, it's pretty chill. I start at midday. European lifestyle. It's so good.
No way.
Yeah, it's so good because you're meant to be, you're like professional athletes. That's your full-time job.
Yeah, okay.
So midday, I'm in the gym and then I'll get out of the pool at 3.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's sick. And then when you're here?
Oh, when I'm here, it's nuts.
Early hours?
Yeah. I'll get up at 4:30. I have to be on pool deck at 5:30, in the pool for 2 hours, and then gym after that, which is usually an hour and a half. And then I'll go to work or uni or something, and then I'll come and do my club session. That's another 2 hours at night, but that's only 3 nights a week. Yeah. And then play Saturday, Sunday. Damn. Yeah.
That's chaos.
Yeah.
And what are you studying?
I'm doing landscape architecture.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy that?
I love it.
Why are you doing that?
I went into urban planning at Arizona, and I really liked the environmental side of urban planning. So I wanted to do something that was design and environment combined. I didn't want to just do like an environmental science, not really my thing. So I went into landscape architecture here instead of urban planning, and yeah, I love it. I love that it's not sport related.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that.
You can just rock up as Hayley, the girl that studies this, versus like Hayley, the water polo athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's nice to think about something else.
Other than sport. Do you find that like you need that? Is that kind of a release for you, having something?
I do when it's like everyday routine. When I'm in a camp or a competition, I don't want
Distractions.
Yeah, I don't want that. Yeah. But everyday life, it's nice to just not think about water polo. And then when I'm there, I'm a lot more focused.
For sure. And you probably want to be there because you're depriving yourself of it whilst you're doing the other stuff. And you're like, let's go. Yeah. G'd up. Yeah. And I guess there's also the practical element of like, I mean, our bodies could break at any time. And it's good to not, I hate the word like backup plan or fallback.
Yeah. But you need one.
It's good to have something else because like the reality is for athletes, like you can't do it forever. Your body at some point won't be able to hold up. So it's good to have another avenue to dive into. And I think it's great that you're already pursuing that because you see a lot of athletes never have it, stay in the sport for way too long, whatever it is, and then come out of it just kind of and like fall straight into a depression or something like that.
100%.
So do you anticipate what it's going to be like post-career? And like, do you ever think about that sort of stuff?
Not like yes and no. 2 years ago, I was injured for like 16 months. And there was a big question mark if I was going to come back after that. I didn't think my body was going to be up to it. So I think I had that realization of I need a backup plan really early on, which a lot of people don't have. So that was kind of like an insight of what my life would be like without water polo. And I did miss water polo because I didn't feel like I was done with it yet. But I was like, I do have other passions. Like I do have somewhere else I can go. I'm not going to hit to a point and be like, oh, I have nothing. Yeah. So that was good.
What was the injury?
Both my hips. I did both my hips. Yeah.
Whoa.
What'd you do?
Yeah. Both of them were impinged. So it just pretty much means that my pelvis was growing over my femur. Yeah. So every time I'm in an egg beater position, which is like
when you're treading water.
Yeah, like my legs probably like this. Yeah. It was catching, which was quite painful, and it was wearing on my left side. It was wearing the bone down.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then I tore my labrum as well on my left side. So my left side's worse than my right, but
that's like a pretty intense injury for like your sport because you're always treading water.
Yeah.
Like your hips are always going.
Yeah, it was pretty painful.
So what's like, how do you come back from that?
I had to do a lot of rehab because I had to train my muscle to pull my leg bone to sit further back in the socket so that it wouldn't catch on that lip that was growing over. And then I had to get a cortisone injection to try and heal the tear. And it was just like a lot of time off.
Yeah, 16 months.
I was going to say that is a long time.
It's a long time.
Yeah. And especially being as young as you were, because you said it was around 2019.
Yeah.
2019. So did you finish, like, go all the way through school? Like to 2018?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Sweet. So finish like year 12 and then to be like,
and
oh, this is my
year.
first year.
Yeah.
I get to do this without school, like on my back. And then bang, you have that.
It was pretty insane.
Yeah, you can understand how that would make you question your love and want to do that sport, you know.
Well, I love water polo because it's a team sport. I love being with a team, and I was by myself every day. I could only swim, and I was doing like rehab in the gym. I wasn't lifting. It was so boring.
And you said you're in America.
Yeah,
where, like,
and then
you
I was in
didn't know
America for a
anyone,
bit.
so that just adds to the isolation. Damn. Did you kind of fall mentally into any dark places during those 16 months?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
And what did you do to kind of come out of those? Like, do you see a sports psychiatrist or anything?
I did then. I saw a sports psych, but it was my coach that noticed I wasn't doing well. My national league coach. I just said to him, like, I'm so done with this. I hate it. I'm so done. And he knew that I love water polo. He was my coach for like 5 years, so he knew me, and he set me up with, there's like at the AIS, there's a mental health network, so he set me up the sports psych through that, and that really helped me, and that's something I've continued. Like, I don't think I need a sports psych now, but I still see one.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's do you watch MMA at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you know Israel Adesanya?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we like are obsessed. And he always talks about mental health, and he always says that people need to like treat their mental health like they treat their physical health. Like, go to a doctor before you get sick. And that's the same thing with your mental health. Like, he always goes to his sports psychiatrist.
Not because he feels
like he needs it, but he just knows like he wants to stay mentally healthy, and that is a way for him to stay mentally healthy. And I think it's so great that you have the same outlook on that, because so many people won't, and then they wait till they're too far down and then they go and see one. And it's like, especially being an athlete, there's so many things that
It's a huge stigma.
we just 100%. And just the reality of like, I feel like there's so much more stress on you guys than like two average Joes here. We don't have to deal with like the day-to-day fears of like, oh, like if I twinge my hip or something, it's like, that sucks. I can take time to get back to it. But you're like, that's my livelihood, that's my career, my passion, my everything. And you can just fall into this spiral so much faster than two guys that don't need their bodies for their career, I guess, in that sense.
100%.
I think, like, as you said, there's so much stress, daily stress. You're in a high pressure environment. You go to training and it's a high pressure environment. And it's not like, I'll compare it to like an office job. If you're having an off day, you can be like, oh, I can just kind of, I can get through the day. Like, I can do what I have to do and that's it. But if I go to training and I just do what I have to do, I'm like, that's going to get picked up by a coach immediately, or I'm going to let my team down if it's a game. If I just go in there with the mindset of, I can just kind of glide through this because I'm not feeling up to it, I'm going to let my team down.
Yeah, 100%. And then there'll be further repercussions for you, and especially like sports that are quite publicized in the media, commentators pick up on that and then start like slandering your name throughout the media, or they're having an off season, or they're playing bad, and then that just adds to it even more. Like, this, anytime there's more eyeballs on you, there's just more repercussions and more potential negatives that could come from that.
Yeah.
And water polo is it's not a big sport in Australia. So I'm lucky. I'm not in the public view, really. But for, you know, NRL players, AFL, cricket, netball, I'm like, how, like, all of you need a sports psych. Like, seriously, I don't know how. That's just a whole another layer added that I haven't experienced yet.
Do you desire that? Because you said that you're lucky that you don't have that, but does part of you desire it?
I mean, there's pros and cons. Like, if water polo's on a bigger stage in Australia, there's more money in it, it's a bigger sport, all that sort of stuff. But then also, if I have a bad game, the only person that's going to know about it is my coach, my team, and probably my family. That's it.
Yeah. Whereas otherwise it'd be the whole world. Is there money in water polo? Like, can you have a career and make enough money? Or
in Europe, yeah, 100%. I make enough money when I play in Europe that I don't have to work, and that I live very comfortably.
Yeah.
But like I'm saying that, and I'm 22. I don't own a house. I've got no kids. I've got no one else to worry about but me.
Yeah, exactly.
But then here, there's just not that much.
No.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
So it would be worth like almost like do most people just go over, like and play over there? Just like well, it's obviously it's seasonal, right? Yeah. So it's not all year round. Yeah. So you can jump between different leagues across the year, or is it kind of like okay?
So the domestic leagues run between like September, October and April, and then international season is May through to August.
Okay.
So that whole time you're usually with your national team, and a lot of countries will do residential training where everyone will just train together. Your team will just train together in one location for however many months. Yeah. But for the Australian team, we spend that time overseas, and we'll go and train against whoever wants to train against us. And then domestic league, everyone's just playing whatever league.
Yeah.
And when you go overseas with the Australian team, is that funded by them, or do you guys have to fund that?
Yeah, that's funded.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's so cool. That must be a huge like stress kind of just taken off. Because I think that there's a lot of sports coming up where, I mean, I can't say this for sure, but like you hear where it's like, it's not how good your kid is, but it's like who the parent knows how much money they have.
100%.
And it's kind of the opportunity thing. One of a guy I know, he was really good at like, not motocross. I think it was like MotoGP. Like, I don't think he wasn't in MotoGP, but it's like bikes on a track.
Yeah.
And he like was sponsored and got given a bike because he was really good, but then he crashed it. I think the story goes like he crashed it and then his sponsor gave him another one, and then he eventually crashed that one again, and that's when his sponsor was like, nah, like if you want another bike, you have to pay for it. And his family just didn't have the money.
Yeah.
And like, so he couldn't do it. So he had to stop doing the sport. And now that he's older, the guys that he was racing and beating are now like in the actual MotoGP, like winning and stuff. And it sucks because this kid clearly had the talent to do it, but just not the funding or the resources behind him. But it's cool to hear that water polo, that doesn't seem to be the case initially.
Juniors is self-funded. So I was very lucky with my parents that they could help me, because for junior world champs, that was in Serbia. So I was in Europe for 4 weeks total in the lead up to that, and that was $7,000. Like it's pretty steep.
Wow.
It's
Damn.
It's very steep.
That's wild. Did you know that back then?
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew that.
Did you feel big pressure knowing the figure?
No, my parents were very. They saw how hard I worked for it and how grateful I was. So I didn't ever feel like pressure to do well because they were investing in it. But it is more and more turning into a bit of an elitist sport. Like it's really big in private schools, water polo, because private schools have pools. It's expensive for juniors. So there are kids that just their family can't afford that.
Yeah, which kind of sucks, hey? Like, what is your thoughts on that? Like, would you want it to not be that, I guess? Like, how would you?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And it does come back to how well the senior team performs, because if they medal, more funding goes into the program. So there are, like, for me, that's something in the back of my head. Like, if I do well with my team in the next 2 years in the lead up to the Olympics and the Olympics, then the whole program reaps the benefits of that, not just me.
That's a cool way to, because like, again, speaking of other sports, not many other sports would have that. Like established sports, you're not really thinking about that. You're just thinking about doing the best you can.
Yeah.
But for you guys, you almost have that pressure, well, not pressure, but just that back of you have the opportunity to give others an opportunity, I guess, which is really cool.
Yeah. I just see it as motivation. Like, I am in this really awesome position where me and a group of girls can do something really great for the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's awesome.
That is amazing.
That's great. What gets you out of bed on the mornings that you really don't want to? Like, you mentioned motivation.
Yeah.
What pulls you out of bed, and
when you have no motivation?
Yeah. What keeps you going?
Probably just discipline.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
just been doing it for so many years.
Yeah, there's very rarely a morning in the middle of winter that I want to get out of bed at 4:30 in the morning. But it
has to be done.
Yeah, I've drilled that into myself now.
That's cool. Do you find the discipline transcends into like other areas in your life?
Oh, 100%. 100%. My parent, when I was growing up and I was put on a trial at my state institute, my dad said to me, like, I will drive you anywhere for training, but you need to get yourself out of bed. Like, I'm not going to come and drag you out of bed to take you to training. Like, that's on you.
Yeah.
So everything was, my parents, like, everything was, I'm going to support you, but it needs to come from you first.
You have to lead it.
Yeah.
I love that.
That is great. Because that's what it should be. It's like, you hear the stories of like the parents pulling their kids up, like, you know how this, when we're all younger, there's always that kid who's really, really good.
Yeah.
And like their parents are like, oh, my kid's so good. But like the kid clearly doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's got to come from you first.
The kid's going to get to an age where he doesn't have to answer to me. And if he doesn't want to do it, then like all those years, all that, whatever it was, all that time is just kind of down the drain in that sense. So I think that's the best thing your parents could ever say to you.
Oh, 100%. Like 9 times out of 10, that kid's not going to make it.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
Like,
if they don't want to do it, then
they're not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always the lines like talent beats hard work hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah.
And it's like you can be talented, and you see like a lot of the kids coming up. I think for me it was like more swimming, seeing kids that were like just naturally good at swimming. And they would swim like 5 days a week or whatever. But you could tell they just did it because they were good at it. And then but they're not really working that hard, even though, yes, they're getting there 5 days a week. There's other kids that are doing 6, 7 days a week because they really want it. Yeah. And those are the kids that make it. And I think, it's one of those things where, like, I don't know, in the long run, it's like getting up the 5 days a week is probably going to serve them for the better in the future, just because they learn discipline. They probably made some better life choices, learned some new skills or whatever. But it's also like, if you don't really want it, is it worth it? Yeah. Is it worth doing it?
Yeah, and it's hard when you're like younger.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you want yet. That's why I always find it impressive when like someone picks up a sport when they're like 15, 16. Because like their parents probably didn't make them do that.
Yeah.
Like they've chosen to actually go ahead and do that sport. Yeah. Have you met anyone who started really late in water polo?
Yeah, Hannah Buckling, actually, she was the best centre back in Australia. She's retired now, but she was the best centre back in Australia for quite a while. She started when she was like 16 at high school.
So she just went, oh, I like water polo, I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
That's
wild.
crazy.
And that's the same position as you?
Yeah.
Do you draw a lot of inspiration from her?
Yeah. She's just she's such an intelligent player. And she was like, when she was at her peak, she was so strong. Like, she would be squatting like 120 kilos, which that's impressive.
That is very impressive.
And she would have been like 80 kilos. So I was like, okay, you're squatting 1.5 times your body weight. Like, that's pretty cool.
That's solid. So is the like main muscles you're using is like obviously legs, like glutes, hammies, legs, quads, etc. Is there much shoulders, or is that more just for?
No, there's a bit of shoulders.
Because obviously throwing.
Yeah.
What is it? Like the shooters obviously throw it hell hard, but are you just like, it's more passing, like casual, or are you?
No, everyone's an attacker.
Yeah.
And then everyone's a defender, but I'm like a specialty defender. So.
So what do you train specifics like different to like maybe a shooter, like
striker? What are they called? Forwards?
They call them drivers.
Drivers. Sweet, yeah. Don't want to fuck it up because you said like 3 different things. You got to get it right.
Drivers.
Yeah, drivers.
Yeah. Do you do any different training to a driver?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What does that actually look like? Is that in the weight room? Is that in the pool?
Weight room, yeah. I have a bit more volume than a driver. And then in the pool, I will do a lot of like one-on-one work with the centre forward, who's like a specialty attacker.
Yeah.
So I'll do a lot of one-on-one work with them. Just body position, that sort of thing, knowing when to like how to read the game for where you need to be, that sort of thing.
I can't even, like, if I'm honest, like it's so scrambly that I can't picture the strategy. Like, I find it hard to like you guys must be you'd have to be so on.
I think it's one of the sports where, like, I don't know, anyone could get on a soccer field and just kick around a soccer ball and figure it out, but like not everyone could get in the pool and play water polo.
Definitely.
Yeah, it does. It does get technical.
So technical.
And think of like because you would have a lot of one-on-ones.
Yeah.
And can you only? This sounds like a dumb question probably for you. Is like, can you only like physically touch people when they have the ball?
No.
Oh, so it's like you can. Oh, that's frightening.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much trying to stop people from being able to get the ball.
Yeah. Or just like, you want to control their attack. So you want to dictate where the ball goes.
Yeah. And just the one-on-one that you would have is like, that could go, you could just go so deep in your strategy for that in terms of like you being able to control another person.
Yeah.
Like, it almost reminds me of, like, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like it just like makes me think of just jiu-jitsu. Like how people just like control other people on the mat.
It's a bit of that. It's like, well, if you're defending at one, then you need to be on this shoulder and your legs need to be pointing this way. If you're defending at two, it's a whole nother thing. And then like 3, 4, 5.
So it is very, very technical.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. Because you wouldn't like...
It's making me want to try it.
Yeah.
Like, get in there and just...
want to try it.
I would fail so hard, but I would love to try.
I don't even know where to go to play water polo.
I mean, you can sign up for social comp.
Yeah, that'd be so... I actually kind of want to give it a go.
Yeah, just give it a crack.
Yeah, I reckon I'd get so exhausted.
Well, I mean, you're a solid swimmer. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
You're a solid swimmer?
Yeah. I mean, we swam back in primary school.
True.
I was a good swimmer.
We were always like the kids that, when you had compulsory swimming lessons, we'll just play handball for that hour because we already knew how to swim and we were like solid swimmers, so we'll just be playing handball.
Yeah. Just not having to do swimming. Yeah, that was like, those were my glory days. Now it's all just going downhill. Yeah, it's because like the selection pool was just so small. There was like 30 kids in our year, 34 kids.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it wasn't that hard to be better than everyone.
Yeah.
But then like once the pool gets bigger, it's like, I'm
actually go to like next level and just get smashed. I was like, oh.
I'm not that good. My 2 swimming lessons a week aren't going to cut it. Sorry, Josh.
Yeah, dude, that was like me when like, when you do like swimming lessons and then you do like, what do they call it, squads?
Yeah.
You get in the squads, you're like, oh yeah, like I'm the shit. Like I am the shit. And then just everyone just destroys you. You're just like, oh no.
Squads was the worst.
Yeah, I used to hate, that's what made me stop doing like swimming.
It's kind of good though. Like I like that from such an early age, you get such an awareness of what it takes to be great. Like, dude, doing this twice a week is not going to allow you to be great. Like you, at the moment, you think this is the hardest thing ever. Yeah. Dude, there's kids doing this 6-7 days a week.
It's because you're a kid and you're in your own world. So then you think like, oh, this is so difficult. And then someone else is doing something 3 times as hard as you. Like, oh, right. It doesn't count. Doesn't count.
And you quickly dismiss it as well. Like you think, oh, like I couldn't do that. That couldn't be me. But as you grow up, it's like, I'm perfectly capable of doing that. It's just, I don't want to. You become a bit more honest with yourself, I think. And then it's either I don't want to or I do want to. And then you kind of pursue what you pursue.
Yeah. So did you start with like, obviously swimming?
Yeah.
That's what's interesting too, is because you can't really just go play water polo.
No.
You kind of got to be a good swimmer first. So it's like a next level. When did you start swimming?
I was always swimming because like of where we live. My dad was really into the surf club growing up. And he just said, like, well, when you hit 15, you're going to want to go to the beach with your mates, and we want peace of mind that you're not going to go and drown. So we always had to swim, my sister and I, until we were 15, and I hated it. I hated swimming.
No way.
It was the worst. I used to forget my togs. Like, I would just pull out every trick in the book to not get in the pool. Oh, Dad, I've got a sore throat. Like, driving down to Narrabeen, like, I feel sick, but... Now I'm so grateful for it, obviously, but I hated it.
That's so funny that you hated it so much, and now you play water polo, like in a pool. Like it's just obviously it's very different, but at the same time, just like
and now when I have like a week of training at home, I go to squads, and I'm like, this is so much fun. Like I love it. I love squads now, and I'm just like, that's just the biggest evolution. I don't know how I went from that to this.
Yeah. In your off season, like what does your off season look like? How long is it?
I get a month off a year.
Yeah, wow.
And it's nothing. I do nothing during that time. I'll like do exercise just to stay sane, but I'll go to squads, maybe go to Pilates, go to the gym, but because I have such little time a year. I have like 4 weeks a year.
Yeah. And do you feel like having those 4 weeks and doing what you say nothing, what for a lot of people would probably be a lot, do you come back really hungry to get back in the pool, or is there a bit of like already?
Usually I'm hungry. This year I was a bit like, because it was a really big international season. I'd come off the back of playing my first season in Spain, and then I went into like prep to get selected for World Champs, and that was intense, obviously. And then I got selected, so then that was 4 weeks in Europe, and then World Champs on top of that, which is so mentally draining. And then I came home and went back to Europe for another 3 weeks to train. So after that, I was like so buggered, like mentally more than physically. And when I finished my 4 weeks off, I was like, I could very easily take another 2 right now, but I have to get myself ready for the season.
Yeah. So World Champs, how did you guys go there?
We got 6th. Yeah. Which obviously not what we wanted, but it was our first international season playing together. It's a new team. After a lot of girls retired after the Olympics. Yeah. Okay. So, and we had some really tight games. Like Hungary, we played them in our quarterfinal. We lost by 1, and then they were in the grand final.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So you can take a lot going forward.
Yeah, like we were in the mix. We were definitely in there, but
a new team, fresh team,
inexperienced.
Yeah.
I think for over half the team, that was our first World Champs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys will get better as you go. Do you think it's important in water polo to kind of keep the same team and like build the camaraderie and teamship? Because a lot of sports, like you even look at like state of origin and stuff, where like you have a team for so long and then you start like changing it up every like year. It's a new team. And it's just hard for that team to perform really well. Even though the individual player might be better, there's almost more value in keeping the same team around because they know each other. Do you find that is the same in water polo, or?
There's usually like 9-10 players that like they're rock solid for the Olympic cycle, like they're not going anywhere. And then the other 3 or 4, there's 13 in a game. The other 3 or 4 will probably change around. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you feel a pressure? Like once you've made it, like heavy is the head that lies the crown, do you feel the pressure of like those girls nipping at my heels wanting to take this spot?
Oh, I do 100%. This was my first year of not being, this is my first year of being in the team, not a reserve. So, and with the group of centre backs that are in Australia, I am the youngest one, or like the second youngest one. Wow. So I feel the pressure 100%. Yeah.
And what do you do to manage that? Obviously you said sports psych, but what do you do for yourself? Like do you journal? Do you go for walks? What do you find helps?
I write. I just write everything down. Like even in a team talk, it could be like the most basic team talk that I've had 100 times, and I'll write everything down that's going on in the team talk, just so I physically have what I have to do, and it's not in my head, and then I just will skim over that before a game or before. Like after a training session, I'll write down what I think I did well, what I need to work on, and then going into the next training session, I'll just like look at it really quickly. So it's not in my head.
Yeah.
I can
it's not just cluttered.
Externalize it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Or just get scrambled and then you mix, like I guess it's like you're taking down things that you know you need to do.
Yeah.
It's objective, but I guess if you leave it up here, all it's going to do is just mix with emotion.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you go in feeling like a little bit down, and you have those things, it's just going to ride on that. So it's writing them down, be like, no matter how I'm feeling, I need to do these things because there's no emotion on the paper. It just is what it is. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say, like, how long have you done that for? Did you do that since when you were young, or did you feel like you picked that up along the way?
I've always done it with like Australian junior teams.
Yeah.
Mainly because also I was so nervous. As well, and I didn't want to forget anything because I have so much nervous energy. But now I do it for everything because I realize how effective it is for me. So.
And do you still get those nerves?
Oh, 100%. Especially when I know I'm playing a team that has a really good centre, a really good centre forward. So like Hungary, Italy, Spain, all have really good centres. And for me, that's like...
That's your job to defend them.
I'm like, I know I have a really big job today.
Yeah.
Are you ever thinking about, say, those really good centers? Like you say you've probably got like a top 3 or a top 2.
Yeah.
Are you ever just like when you're training or anything like that, thinking about them, being like, I want to put in one more than them today?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Oh, I love
100%.
that. I love that.
I didn't even ask you a question, Sen. I just like built the question out for you to just say yes.
Yeah.
like that, because I feel like we talk about it all the time, just like obviously joking around with different things we'll do, like working hard at. Just like always think about like guys on the other side of the world doing the exact same thing as you, and like just go one more than them. But you actually have the name of the person who's on the other side of the world doing that thing that you're doing.
Yeah. And also like my job as a centre back is to make, when I'm attacking their defending, is to make them so tired defending that when they get down the other end of the pool, they don't want to attack. So when I'm attacking, I'm like, I'm so buggered, but it's a mental game, because I'm like, if I just put in a couple, like 1 or 2 more efforts now, it's going to make her job so much harder in 30 seconds down the other end of the pool, which will then make my job easier.
Yeah. So it's like take a step back to take 2 steps forward.
I love that. Do you know David Goggins?
No.
Okay, I'll send him you after the pod. He's like American Navy SEAL ultramarathon runner, but just a lot on mentality and a lot of like, he calls it like taking souls, like having somebody else and just you're doing it for your own mental benefit, like not to put them down, but the idea of like just taking everything from them and like seeing them deplete, which is exactly what you're speaking about.
Well, that's how I'm taking it.
Yeah. And I think you'll love him. Like you'll love his stuff.
Yeah, because he just has that like the mental side, like you're saying. It's like when you get to that high level, you guys are all training hard physically.
Yeah, it's like you guys all do the same work in the gym. Like you're all physically prepared to like play the sport you're playing. It's all about the mental and the other aspects in your life, which you said you're into CrossFit. You know Matt Fraser? Do you know him?
Yes.
Yeah, like 5-time world champ.
Yeah.
He spoke a lot about how someone said to him, like he won and it was when he came second, and he thought that he wins the events in the gym. Like he's like, I thought that's where the sport is won, like in the gym. I just work harder than everyone. And this guy, whoever it was like, dude, you're kidding yourself if you think this is where you win. It's every other aspect of your life, like your sleep, your diet, your relationships. That's where you're going to win this sport. And from there, he just like made a commitment, and every decision he made was catered towards like, will this get me closer to winning the CrossFit Gold or like losing?
Well, have you heard of the mentality that I think they were the English rowing 4 had? I can't remember what Olympics they were leading into, but their whole mentality was, will this make the boat go faster? So, you know, going for a 6K run, will that make the boat go faster? Yes. Having 5 beers at the pub on a Friday afternoon, not going to make the boat go faster. And like every single decision that they made in their life was all on that one question.
It's crazy because it's so simple.
Yeah, and they won gold.
And it shows that, okay, it shows a couple of things, like your commitment to the sport, you truly do want it. And it also shows like a level of intelligence of like, everything I do obviously impacts who I am. Like the decisions I make impact my abilities, output and everything. If I really want to win this, why would I not give everything to it?
Yeah.
That's so sick. Do you feel like you do that pretty well? Like what are areas you think you could improve in? Like sleep, social life, diet, relationships?
Probably like my mental health is always, for me, going to be something that I need to continuously work on. I think my diet and sleep I'm pretty good with. I'm very affected by what I eat. Like if I eat something that I know I shouldn't be eating, or if I like have a couple of beers, I'm going to feel that immediately the next day in the water. I'm just going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
Because you're pushing yourself every day. So it's like if you sabotage, you're like going to feel it.
Some people are just like lucky and can, you know, eat whatever they want and do whatever they want, and they're going to train amazing and play amazing. But I'm just not that person at all.
Which is almost like, again, I would say that as a blessing, because that's more discipline that you have to have versus them. Like they could get away with eating whatever, but like you have more discipline, which means like in those crunch moments, you have like more ability to give more.
Yeah. I just, it's probably, I've never thought of it like that, but I just know that if I'm waking up in the morning to go to training at 4:30, why would I intentionally do something that's going to make it feel like a waste of time? It's not worth it for me.
Yeah, 100%.
So what does the diet look like for you?
A lot of food, essentially.
No doubt.
A lot of food. I just try, I'm not like, oh, I need to eat 120 grams of lean meat. I'm just like, try to eat.
Is it more like specific foods that you want to eat, or just?
Mainly for me, the thing is that I need to eat to the point of like being uncomfortable to make sure I have enough energy.
Yeah, just to pass that calorie deficit that you're just chewing through calories in the pool.
So what does a day of eating look like?
Like, what did you eat yesterday?
What did I eat? I'll wake up, in Spain, I'll wake up, I'll do 3 pieces of toast, 3 eggs. Yeah. And then I'll go to the gym and I'll usually have like a banana after the gym. And then after pool, a part of my contract is I get to eat at the club. So like they have a restaurant and it's so good. I go there.
And it's in Spain.
It's in Spain.
So
I eat.
Give it all.
Seriously, like so much. Like lunch is like meat, potatoes, and then like a first course, which is usually like pasta.
That's not the first course.
No. Meat and potatoes is second course. First course is like pasta or something really like pretty heavy. Yeah. And then they'll chuck us like some yogurt for after. Sick. And then I'll have just something a little bit sweet. Yeah. Here's some yogurt. And then in the afternoon at like 6, I have like another meal, which is like usually like toast, peanut butter, bananas, or like protein shake or something. And then I'll train from 8 till 10, and then I'll eat like the biggest dinner ever. Like so big, like so much, usually rice, like heaps of rice.
All the rice.
So much rice, so much chicken, and whatever veggies.
Yeah, okay.
That's it.
Damn, that's sick. You must like hound that lunch, knowing it's in your contract, so that's food you're not paying for.
I'm seriously, that is the thing that gets me through the training in the morning. I'm like, I'm going to sit down to the best lunch in 1 hour.
That's such a good thing. I think like having a healthy relationship with food allows you to kind of push through discomfort and get excited about it. And because it's a reoccurring like pattern that happens every day. Like, I mean, for me, water, most of the time it's a discipline to drink it, but I drink a lot of it. Obviously post exercise you want it, or if you're in the heat or whatever. But food is always one of those things where I never don't feel like food. Like when I'm hungry, it's like I'm so excited for food.
I'm just gonna put it away.
And it'll literally get you through the tough things in life. For me, like I'll be having a bad day or whatever, and I'm just like I'm that keen to finish work and then have a massive feed.
Yes.
I literally was just fasting, so for like a long amount of time, and then like just you guys talking about how good food is just like I'm feeling that right now. Like yesterday was when I started, like broke the fast, and like the first thing that I ate was literally just scrambled eggs, and then just like a little bit of barbecue sauce, and that barbecue sauce, I'm telling you, it was like the best barbecue sauce I've ever had. Just like a tiny bit.
Eggs are so underrated though.
Oh, they are.
I love eggs.
How do you have your eggs?
Boiled.
Yeah, okay.
Try this raw
with orange juice.
No.
Yes, you have to.
God.
It's new to us as well.
It is new to us.
What's the point of that? Like
convenience. It's so easy.
So,
obviously, think of like if you don't usually have eggs, it's very cheap. Like eggs are cheap, relative to like maybe like a steak or something like that. So you just buy all your eggs, a little bit of orange juice, right, or like coconut water or something, and then just crack them all raw. Give them a whisk. It just
honestly, so do 4 eggs, try 2 eggs, and then either orange juice or coconut water. Mix it up and just chug it.
Don't knock it till you try it, because I was like, that's filthy, but I'll have it because like if it is good, it's like, think of it, the convenience.
I was such an advocate for it, which makes it easier. Like we like pretty much everything the same. So if I'm like, dude, this is so good, it's like, all right.
And then he said that, and I was like, oh, I'm in.
It's just so easy. It's such a quick snack. Like a throw me down, just do them 2 eggs, 4 eggs down the hatch.
Good fats, good pro.
All right, I'll try it. I'll try it.
Respect.
Keen to hear what you think.
Yeah,
You're just going to be in Spain, or your fridge is just eggs.
Yeah, my roommates are going to think I'm insane, but I'll try it.
Go to the club. What's for lunch? Eggs.
Eggs and orange
Give them all.
juice.
Give them all.
That's so good that you get that for free.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And it's always such a good meal.
Oh,
Like, yeah, and they give us so much because they're like, oh, you're athletes. Like, have everything.
Do you know exactly what sort of, like, how many calories you would burn in a day?
No, I've got no idea.
yeah.
I've got no idea. I
think it's good that you just do it off like intuition.
Yeah.
That it's just like knowing. The metric is like, how do you feel? How do you feel each day?
Yeah.
I think that's the healthiest way to do it.
And I work with nutritionists because I got really sick. When was it? In 2019. Everything happened in 2019. I got really sick and I was really skinny and I had chronic fatigue and I was training so much and I was just like dropping weight. And my coach has said to me, like, if you lose another kilo, like you're stopping training. You can't keep doing this. This is unsustainable. And so then I started working with a nutritionist and they said to me, like, your body type and your metabolism is you need to eat so much more than you think you need to eat.
Wow.
And you need to like pretty much ignore
the like
feeling full
and just
ignore
keep going.
it and just keep going because I have to be.
What a problem.
Yeah.
What a shit. Yeah. No, but I can imagine.
I was like pumping the creatine and stuff for a really long time because my coach has just said you need to put on 10 kilos.
Whoa, 10 kilos. That is a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Damn. How long did that take you?
Oh, first 5 kilos was so easy because I was just like creatine. It's just holds all your water weight. Yeah. And then, but they're like, you need to put on 10 kilos of muscle, not fat. And I was like, okay. So that was the next 5 kilos was a bit of a slog. I think it took me like, because also I'm training so much, doing so like swimming so much, doing so much. My heart rate's always high. I think it probably took me a year to be able to hit that weight and keep it. So now that's just my playing weight. Yeah. But it took me a really long time to get there.
Yeah, okay. And do you have like the weight you set at now, is that the weight you play at, or do you prefer to be like a bit lighter, a bit heavier when you're in like peak competition?
This is my.
Yeah. So you stay the same weight, which is great.
I think that's so healthy. I think it's the best thing. Like obviously in MMA they have weight cuts and stuff, which I think is just the worst thing for your body. To like deplete yourself to be like almost at death's door, like 24 hours before a fight is
With
24 hours before
a
cage fight with not anyone, with like the best cage fighters in the world. Not you know, and obviously you're both cutting, but what happens if one of the guys is staying at their natural weight?
Yeah.
Say you normally weigh around like 140 and only cut 5
the idea
pounds.
of weight cutting is so insane.
Paddy, I don't know his last name.
Kimberly?
Yeah.
Yeah. He gets so
I'm like,
thick.
that can't be good for you.
Oh my goodness, no way. And it's
Everyone tries to be like, oh, I can do what he wants. No, he
the
can't.
most frustrating thing is him being like, I don't care, I'm happy. It's like, dude, this is so unhealthy. There is no way this is good for you. Because like straight after a fight, he blows up to like, I think near 200 pounds, over 200 pounds. And then cuts to 155.
I just don't get how he eats that much for so long, because he gets big.
Yeah.
But you can't just get that big from eating a week shit. Like he eats for weeks. He eats terribly.
Like
He just must feel terrible.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. And like the idea of having the first few weeks of your camp, like dropping weight and getting like your VO2 and your fitness back up. Dude, what if those first few weeks where you just spent like already in shape, improving your skills? Like you would just be such a better fighter for it. But then there's also like the mental side. Like maybe mentally that's just where he's happy and feels good. And if he wasn't, he would hate the sport and resent it. Like it is one of those things you never know. But it's not sustainable, surely.
It takes a loss, because he hasn't had a loss in the UFC. Like he's lost before, I think. But
yeah, he's lost before.
if he lost in the UFC, then maybe he's going to be like, okay.
Lost bad.
Yeah, like realised that guy's better than me, almost. Because I feel like he hasn't had that yet.
Have you had any motivators like that? Anything where it's like, damn, this person's so much better than me, I need to level up.
Almost like a knockdown.
Yeah, or do you feel like you've always just been like the student, no, I'm chasing?
Oh, no. I think when I went to World University Games in 2019 in Italy, and that was when I wasn't very well, and that was like that was when I first was like, okay, something's not right with my hips. Like I need to get a scan when I get home. And I was just getting like thrown around. I was so light. I was just getting thrown around, and I was playing centre back. And it's World University Games, but Australia's the only country that like follows the university thing. So all these other countries have their like best team, or half their best team, plus like some like best team. And I was like, whoa, I really need to put in some work now. Yeah, that was probably.
So that was the good motivator for putting on the 10 kilos.
Yeah.
How's the travel aspect been? Because that's such an almost like underrated, like I guess aspect to professional sports where everyone's like focused on the sports, but like you get to travel the world. What is that like?
So sick. Like I'm 22 and I'm living in Barcelona. That is so sick. I have been to some really cool places. I've even when I was in high school, I missed a lot of year 12, but I was missing year 12 to like go to Europe, go to Thailand, go to all these places. It's so cool and also, well, like now I'm going to these places and I'm getting paid to do it.
That's so sick.
So sick.
Yeah. Do you find is it ever a bit bittersweet? Like you're like, oh, it's cool, but I'm really focused on the next thing, and you don't almost appreciate it for as much as like 16-year-old Hayley would have. If you're like, Hayley, you're going to be living in Barcelona when you're 22. Like, imagine how a 16-year-old Hayley would have felt about that.
Yeah, probably wouldn't have believed you if you said that to me at 16. I am focusing on the next thing, yes, but for me at the moment, like I said, this is my first year. This was my first international season, the one that just passed where I was in the team. For me, it was just about like taking everything in, because I look at some older girls in the team who, you know, they've been to 3 Olympics. They've been to that many world champs that for them, it almost becomes, you know, oh, it's just another world champs. So I really wanted to recognize that I put in a load of work to get here and to just enjoy it. Because like this is what I have been working for, you know, 6 years. And I have it.
That's wild.
So don't just be as like ticking a box. Like actually
live in the moment. And it's probably like there's probably an indirect impact that you have on those girls that have been doing it for so long. Like they probably see the stoke in your eyes and the appreciation you have, and they're like, damn, I need to like appreciate what I have, because soon I won't be playing anymore, or this will be gone, and I have been taking it for granted. So I think there is power in you doing that, not only for yourself, but it probably rubs off onto your teammates.
Well, before our first game in Hungary, we all went into one hotel room, and there was 7 of us that had never played in a world champs before, and like 6 girls that have. And our captain went to like the local grocery store and bought this really terrible cake. And she's like, we're all going to have a piece of cake and we're going to sit here, and everyone that's been to a world champs is going to talk about their first experience at a world champs.
Oh, that's awesome. So cool.
It was so cool. And it was really cool to watch them like relive it in their head. And they all had such unique experiences, and we just sat there like listening to them. Oh my goodness. And I think they all said something along the lines of like, just tomorrow when you're really overwhelmed with nervous energy and all the emotions, remind yourself to just like be calm, and that this is what you've worked for, and that at the end of the day, it is just another game of water polo, and you all know how to play water polo. So like you will be okay.
Yeah, you're there for a reason almost. It always is funny, like when people get to like a new stage and they're like, oh my God, I'm so nervous, whether that be at work or whether that be at a sport. But it's just, you're there for a reason. Like you wouldn't be there if you weren't better than the other ones before you. So it's almost like, but it's so hard to recognize that in the moment.
Have you ever dealt with like imposter syndrome or anything?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I still now struggle with, like, I have a coach telling me that, oh, you know, I believe in you, and girls telling me I believe in you. But when I get, especially in Spain, because Spain's ranked number 2 at the moment in women's. So when I get there and I watch some of these girls play, I'm just like, I'm so far away from that level, but like I'm playing that level. So it's kind of like, I need to constantly be like building myself up and constantly reminding myself like, you're here for a reason.
The shit. You are the shit. Like, you're playing for Australia. I think it's such a important thing, and I honestly think that's where so many athletes, I don't want to say fall short, but almost rob themselves of like a potential career or a potential like potential accolades that they could have achieved, because they just can't get they can't understand that they've earned it and that they are there for a reason. And I think that's where I draw so much inspiration from athletes, particular athletes that are on top of their game, like world champions, because I think you have really good athletes and then you have great ones. It's like, what makes these people great? I don't think they're any more talented. I just think mentally they have this switch and they just know. It's like, you could look at Usain Bolt, and when he was on the start line, like, he was always happy, smiley, cheery, and then he could just switch on and he just knows, like, I am the guy. I'm the fastest man. Like, everyone else here, I'm winning. And he would win. And I think that stuff sticks out with me. Like, I find that so impressive that people have the ability to do this.
The difference between good and great. I feel like that's where we learn the most from sport. Is seeing people take it to the next, like literally to the next level. Which is, it's the most admirable thing. And taking those things and applying that to your life. Like, I can definitely speak for me in terms of MMA. So many athletes, like, competing in such a do or die sport, to see them get to the top and sustain it, and some of the things they take forward from that is just like we were talking about Izzy before, even Volk, like the Aussie champ, like Volk, he's like, his mentality is just like, it's insane. He's so,
literally the GOAT.
He's great.
He's just so fixated on what he needs to do, and I think he's just so good at reading distractions. Like, he's so simple, he just has his family, has his career, and he just chips away. But for all of us, it's so hard, especially now in I guess 2022. There's so many different distractions that can pull us in. Like, to stay committed to something for a long period of time is like rarer than ever, I guess. And like, even to see you like stick to something from so young. And I guess, well, you said you've been playing from like 11 or 12. So that's like 10 years of commitment to this thing at different stages. Like, we can all take that and apply that to different areas of our life. Whether it be a relationship with someone, like a friendship, like intimate relationship, like a job. You can actually take lessons from that too.
I read this quote, I don't know where it was from, but it was this theory that any goal that feels really good achieving takes at least 5 years of really hard work.
Interesting.
And that's like undergrad degree, 4 years, an apprenticeship, 4 years. It's all roughly 5 years. Anything that is really worth having is at least 5 years of work, like hard work.
And I like the idea of that, because I love that. I don't know, it's special when it's not achievable by everyone, or not. It is achievable, but not everyone obtains it. Like, I think not everyone could play in the Olympics, obviously, but like, a lot of people have the ability to play. If they put in the hard work, if they showed up, they could get to a stage where they could play in the Olympics. But not everyone does it. And I like that it is that, because it makes the reward so much greater when you achieve it. It's like, damn, like, I was the one guy that put in the work. And that's why, for me, like, obtaining a world record is just so high on my priority list, because anyone's capable of doing it, but not everyone will do it. And I like that, because it motivates you, like, getting up for those training sessions, it motivates you to go and do it, because no one else is up there doing it. I love that so much.
Especially when you have that spot of like number one. It's like, it actually is
no
one else. No one else.
And you got a target on your back now.
Yeah,
100%.
Which is also good, because then that pushes you to do maybe other stuff too. Like having that target on your back.
Yeah, definitely. How was you said before, like, you love playing in teams. Why is that, and what do you prefer about teamwork versus doing stuff like by yourself?
I find training by myself so boring. Like, I have to go do this, like, just this week I've had to go do swim sets by myself, and I'm so bored. But then I'll like go do a session with my sister at the gym, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like just having someone there working with you is just, I love it. And like training, when I'm in a 2-hour slog in the pool or something, I'm like, everyone's going through this with me. Like it's not just me. Like I've got a team to share this load with.
Yeah, okay.
That's great.
So it's a lot more fun, and it's just not easier, but it's just better. It's better being around people.
Like that sense of community. I guess you're all working towards the same goal, whether it be
the hive mind.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Like the Olympics, whether it be whatnot. You all know that you're working to that same goal. Yeah.
And like group mentality. Like if I was like, say a swimmer, I don't think I would be able to reach that mentality of like, I'm the best in the world, but I'm in a team, and I can have the mentality of like, we can make this team the best team in the world. It's just like, I don't know.
What part do you think you play in your current team? Like in terms of Australia?
Centre back.
No. In terms of off the field.
I don't consider, well, as a player, I don't consider myself a very flashy player. I think I'm just a solid workhorse. But off the field, I don't know, like we have like bans the word culture. We can't say the word culture around.
Interesting.
It's like, because last Olympics, they underperformed and everything fell back on the culture. It's a bit of a cop-out. So that's been banned, culture. So we have this like set of, we call them gold medal standards, that we had like lots of meetings about during a training camp, what we want them to be, what we want them to look at, like how we're going to hold ourselves and each other accountable. So I think my role outside of the pool is to make sure I'm hitting all those gold medal standards that we set as a group, and that I am an energy giver to the group. That's what I would think.
How do you guys address like shortcomings and people kind of not living up to the expectations?
We have, see it, say it, hear it, cop it. So if you see something that is a shortcoming, you got to say it straight away. And not in like the whole team's there like, don't do this. Be like, hey, notice that this happened today. That's not in our standards. I think we need to change something about that. And then, but also be on the other end of it. If you hear that, don't be like, well, blah, 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 and be defensive. Just cop it. Be like, okay.
Be open-minded to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like
I like that. That's great. And like, even though you guys can't use the term culture, I can. I think that breeds a great culture in my mind. Like that sort of approach, there's no ego in it. It's very loving. It comes from a genuine place. And again, you all share the common goal of wanting to be better, wanting to be the best. And those are the steps necessary to get you guys to being the best. Yeah. I think that's a very healthy environment to be in, for sure.
Do you see it often?
No.
Because of that setup, it's almost like you probably don't see it often.
Yeah. Well, we also put in a lot of work, like so many hours talking about these standards. So everyone's on the same page. Hard work's been put into it. So no one's,
I dare you to break it.
But also, like, people are human. You're going to do something. If you have a bad day, you're going to mess up. It's very rare that if you're traveling with a group of 15 girls plus staff for 4 weeks, everyone's going to be at the absolute peak in and out of the pool the whole time.
Just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Like, we're human. So we had all these conversations about, and we worked with a sports psych through this. Okay, here's a scenario. What if you see a teammate doing this? Okay, what are you going to do? So we all like broke out into little groups and we talked about what we would think would be the appropriate reaction, and then came together, shared it, spoke about why that might be the wrong or right way to do something. Like, it wasn't just, hey everyone, here are your standards. See ya. Yeah.
You actually came up with the standards yourself. Yeah.
And a lot of work went into it.
That's awesome.
So it's derived from the team. It's starting from the team.
Which is where it should come from. Like, it shouldn't be this external thing coming in. Like, this is how it's done. Like, you guys should be birthing that because you're the ones in it.
Comes back to your parents. Like, you have to get yourself up. You know what I mean? So you have to set these standards. Also, if you want to do well, like what are your disciplines? You know, like that. Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah. How critical has your support network been for you? Obviously, you said your family's been amazing.
Yeah.
And like, not that I know your family that well, but like I can attest to that. Like they're all very nice people and amazing people.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was that like for you growing up?
They've been they've just been rock solid, because when you're an athlete, like you have to be selfish.
Yes.
Like you have to be so selfish. Like I'm not doing this because I have this tomorrow. I'm not going to come on a 10K family walk because it's like, I've trained for 4 hours today. That's going to be the worst thing for me. Just stuff like that. Like I'm going to move to the other side of the world. Hope you're all okay with that. Like keep my room there when I'm gone. I'll be back. They've just been like rock solid. They've been so supportive with everything I've done. They just want to see me essentially be happy. And they've always said, like, if I turn around tomorrow and say I'm done with water polo, they'll be like, okay, you're done. Like,
that's awesome.
Obviously they'll say like, why? Are you sure? Should we like go speak to someone? But yeah, they're not making me do anything I don't want to do. They're just going to.
That's so good. And it shows, like, again, coming back to making sure it was your decision from the start. They're not trying to impose like their dreams, their desires onto you. No. They're just like creating an environment, a nurturing, loving environment where you can do what you want to do, which I think is so sick.
Yeah, that's great.
It's like, it's rare to have parents like that, I think. Like there's a lot of good parents out there, but to have that nurturing environment is rare, and it's cool that you have that.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing was for like the biggest way I think they showed their support was when I was in year 10. I was at Bridgetine, which is 10 minutes down the road, and my mum works there. She's a teacher at Bridgetine. So easy for our family, for my sister and I to be going to Bridgetine. I came to them halfway through year 10. I said, I want to move to Merredin, which is in Strathfield. It's like so far.
For water
polo. I was like, they have like an elite athlete program. That's where I want to go. I want to do that for water polo. And they were just like, okay, like you do realize that if you do this, it's like throwing a massive spanner in the works, right? Like
makes it a bit harder for us.
Yeah, like if you turn around in 10 weeks time and say, oh, I made the wrong decision, like there's no going back. Like you need to stick to this decision. And it was also really difficult for my mum because every single female on her side of the family went to Bridgetine. I was like the first one breaking that tradition.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And she teaches there too.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
And they were just like, if this is what you want, like, we're not going to stop you.
So you guys moved there?
No. So they, so my mum, I would go to training in the morning. Then I'll get on the train and go to school, which it was closer to school. I would train at Sydney Olympic Park.
Yeah.
And then I would get the train to like Gordon. And then mum would stay at work like an extra hour and a half, and then she'll come pick me up from the train station.
Far out.
Yeah.
That is intense. Yeah, and how was that? Like, did that help you, that athlete program?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. What did it do for you? Like, what was the difference?
It was mainly like I missed so much school. That the teachers had to, as part of them working at Merredin, they had to accommodate for that. Okay. So they had to plan for me to be going away and to make sure I wasn't missing anything.
Right.
Give me extensions on everything, like no questions asked. I don't think I handed in an ounce of homework during my time there, and it's a pretty prestigious school. And it was just like,
wow.
I just got so much leniency.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Which is what you need, like, if you wanted to pursue what you wanted to pursue.
100%.
Was it hard leaving your friends? Because you'd been there for what, 4.5 years?
Yeah. I was so comfortable there.
Yeah.
And I did like Bridgetine. I did. It was a good school. I would have been very comfortable there to finish, but it wasn't the best thing for my water polo. So
that's crazy that you came to your parents.
I keep coming to like think sacrifice, but I'm like, no, it's choice.
It's
like
choice.
You chose that, which is so cool.
You hit us with that in the first like 5 minutes.
And I'm like, that's actually changed my outlook on that forever.
Yeah,
that's so sick. It's so cool.
Where from now, where you're at now at 22, and like the teams you're in, where do you see yourself going forward? Like, what is the next decade, I guess, look like for you, ideally?
If everything goes to plan, I would like to go. Hopefully, I will be going to the 2024 Olympics in Paris. I'd like to finish my degree after that, and then I would like to go play in Europe after finishing my degree at my club's coming third in the Spanish league, which is very good, my team, but I would like to go to like a really big club that has a lot of money and that they're going to do very well. I would like to be a part of. I would like to experience that. And then I'd like to go to 2028. And then we'll go for, I don't know what from there.
What would it mean for you to represent Australia at the Olympics?
Oh my God. I can't even put it into words. And we, something I think about a lot is when we started this new cycle after Tokyo, we got a new head coach, and he came in and he brought all these ex-Australian players, a lot from the 2000 Olympics because they won gold there. All these ex-Australian players, and he got us all in a room and he asked every single one of them, like, put it into words what the Olympics was for you. And everyone was like, I can't. Like, I don't even know how to.
It's years and years of work.
Yeah.
Like,
it's seen as the pinnacle in pretty much like every sport.
Yeah.
Pretty much every sport, if you play at the Olympics and represent your country, that is like the pinnacle of sport.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, and just
imagine just being there, just like as you're about to play, just like.
Yeah. But I don't want to just go to the Olympics. I want to go to the Olympics and win gold.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's it. Yeah.
That's literally like, that actually gives me chills because that's the best thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's so many people, again, just UFC reference because we're so high on it. But like, so many people, it's just like, I want to be in the UFC, and this separates the good from the great. The great is like Conor McGregor before he's in the UFC. Like, I will be UFC champion within 10 years. Like, I'm getting in there and then I'm getting gold. I love that so much.
Yeah. Well, that's also something we spoke about as a team. We said, this is not a team for someone to come into and be like, I just want to make the Olympics. And I'll go, and our coach has said multiple times, if I say to you, what's your goal? And your goal is, I want to go to the Olympics, like, jog on. Here, we're here to continue a legacy, make history, win a gold medal.
Yes.
That is awesome.
Oh, I love that environment. That's such a G up.
Yeah, seriously.
And being surrounded by that would just be so good.
Invigorating, just to see everyone working as hard as you are, if not harder.
And that's
so good.
Coming back, like David Goggins, the guy we were telling you about before, he has this line, like, being uncommon amongst uncommon men. And it's like the common folk all around us, like the people that get up at 5 a.m, go for a run, whatever, they're all common folk. But like, the uncommon is that, like, everyone in the room, like, not only are we going to the Olympics, but we're going to win gold. Not everyone has that mentality. So for you to be surrounded by that constantly, just that's the healthiest thing.
It's like having like the uncommon men or the uncommon women, I guess, are like, that's the people at the Olympics. That's all the other teams. And you guys are trying to be uncommon amongst those uncommon people, which is so sick.
Yeah, that's a cool way to look at it.
Yeah. Because you're just trying to take that one step up, be that 1%er.
Yeah.
These like conversations just got me so G'd up.
Fired up.
Conquer the world.
Just to see you, like, just in your craft, putting all your effort and grind into that. It's just, it's awesome.
Yeah, and it's cool to see you genuinely grateful and appreciative of, like, not only the opportunities you've had, like you said, you're aware that not everyone could have, like, had the upbringing you had in terms of just your parents, and then being able to play the sport and travel with the sport. And then to be 22, traveling the world, living in Barcelona, like, you're so appreciative and you're like taking note of every step, which is amazing, because you'll get to the end of your career one day and you'll be able to look back like really grateful, not regretting the things that you didn't do, or not regretting that you didn't take the time to appreciate where you were, because you're living it right now. I think that's so beautiful that you're doing that like this early on.
Well, I'm trying to keep it all in perspective, because I could get injured tomorrow and that's it. And I'm still have had a career, and I have done some things that I'm really proud of and really grateful that I got to do. But I also know that, like, you know, I could also get dropped tomorrow. That's just the nature of sport. And hopefully the person that replaces me is so fantastic that they go and win a gold medal, you know? Like, I want to make it so difficult for the person.
Yeah. You want to set the standards so high of
that
what the centre back should be.
Yeah, that if I get replaced, I'm like, yeah, that person deserves it.
Rewrite the history books of like, when it's like the definition of what a centre back's role is, it's just like Hayley Ballesty.
Yeah, that would be sick.
That's the definition.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Is there anything that you'd want to touch on? Like anything that you feel like you want to talk about?
No, how much I hate talking about water polo. That would be a good one.
Yeah.
I hate it.
After talking about it for an hour and a bit?
Yeah, because I can imagine, I mean, it's just a natural thing. Anytime people see someone doing something cool, they just want to be a part of it and talk about it. And like a lot of your friends or people you meet, it's like, oh, just tell me about water polo.
It's more just like, I'm like, oh, you know, I made world champs this year. Like, that was a really big deal for me. They're like, oh my God, that's so good. And I'm just like, I get so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's not like I'm talking about my motivation for it or the actual like day-to-day stuff. I hate that. I hate it. So uncomfortable.
Which is cool. I think it, like, again, probably speaks to the reason you'll be so great at it is because, like, you're not focused on the accolades, you're focused on just doing the work.
It just comes with it. It's one of those things that you're going to have to face along the way, is people being like, how's water polo? Good? Yeah.
Yeah, well, like this year, every Boxing Day, like the whole side of my dad's family gets together, and there's like 80 people. Like, it's a big family. Yeah,
That's huge.
it's so much fun.
Yeah,
It's so much fun. But like every single person I've spoken to is like, how's water polo? Like, oh my God, you've done really, because we have a family newsletter. It's really cringe, but we have a family newsletter. Yeah.
How often does it get?
Every month.
No way,
Yeah,
that's so
it's
sick.
so lame, but
No,
it's like
that's awesome. I love that.
because like everyone's everywhere and we only get to see everyone in one place on Boxing Day. So it's like this is what's been going on with everyone once a month. And I'm like in there every month in the newsletter.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, like I heard, you know, I read that you did this and this and this. Like, that's so great. Are you just stoked? And I'm like, yep.
Yeah, I was stoked with it when it happened. Now I'm just moving on to the next thing.
It's like, I don't even know how to respond to that.
It is weird though. I 100% can understand what you're saying. It's like, what are you supposed to really say? Well, thank you.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, thanks. I've had a big year. I've had a full-on year.
Yeah.
Move on. How are you? How's your year?
Yeah, 100%.
Have you ever spoken to Abby, like, for context, your sister? And like, has she ever felt any negative effects from like your, I guess, success in what you're doing in terms of like, oh, Hayley, just tell me about your career.
Yeah. I think, like Abby rows surfboats and her cruise has been incredibly successful. They've won like 4 Australian gold medals. It's insane, right?
That's
and like
ocean ones, right?
Yeah.
I've seen photos.
It's nuts. I don't know how anyone does that. I'm just like, and there is like, for Boxing Day example, there was like a big focus on me, but I'm like, she's kicking ass.
Yeah, she's killing it.
She's killing it. Like, she's moved out of home this year. She's killing her job. Like, she ruptured her Achilles this year and she's like done a full rehab.
Wow. Yeah,
So,
but
yeah.
that doesn't get which is.
And do you guys speak about that, or is it sort of just like swept under the rug, put to the side a bit?
I think it's swept under the rug because in a family setting, we don't, like, if we start talking about water polo too much, my dad will just like ask a question about the surf club to Ab. So it's not like in a family setting and like I'm really close with all her friends and stuff. So they'll be like, how's water polo going? I'm like, yeah, it's really full on. I've got this coming up, and it's like, sweet, move on.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So I think with the people I'm closest with, they know how much I actually dislike talking about water polo. And so, and it's also like, I'm not just a water polo player. You know?
There's so much more.
So it's normally just those like bigger group settings that it will be like uncomfortable.
Yeah, 100%.
With Abby, but besides that,
How have you guys like been able to help each other over the time, I'm assuming? Like with both your individual efforts, like give advice, take advice, even if it's indirect, like you don't actually directly give advice.
Well, she's like very removed from the water polo world.
Mhm.
So if I've got something going on with like a coach or something something happened at training, I can just go and have like a massive like spill to her about what's really annoying me, and she can give me her really unbiased opinions because she knows no one.
Yes.
She's like, oh, well, that sounds like a terrible thing. Like, this is what I would do if I was you.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, okay, sweet. Cool. It's just like this. But my parents, they're so like, they know who everyone is because they're coming to my games, they're watching, they know my team, all that stuff. But Abby's just like, oh, okay, I have no idea who that is, but this is what I would do.
Yeah, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is really
That's
cool.
so sick. Do you find, because again, being an athlete, a lot of people will start to wrap like your identity up within the sport.
Yeah.
How do you think you're going to combat like removing that for yourself? Like, because you can't control what other people think. So a lot of people will fall into that. But for you to not identify yourself as Hayley Ballesty, the water polo player, like Hayley Ballesty, whatever, like whatever I want to do, that's who I am. How do you think you'll go about doing that? Or if you do that well, how do you think you do that?
Well, I think that I have a lot of different groups of friends, and I try, because like my water polo friends, I see them every day. That's so easy I try, but like with my school friends from university, like surf club, everything, I try to stay in contact with them and like do things with them regularly. And also I try to like put myself, like when I'm in an environment like university, I try to like just put myself in there and like be really focused on that. And that's good when I'm doing that, because it's like, oh, this is this is Hayley and she also plays water polo. It's not like that's Hayley, the water polo player.
Yeah, okay. So it's really just having avenues in your life where you can separate yourself from water polo.
Yeah. I'm glad you understood that, because I explained that
No,
very poorly.
it made so much sense. I think that's so healthy. And again, like, just kudos to you for identifying all these issues early on, because just so many athletes do not do that, and then come to like them needing to retire. It's like, this is not good.
Yeah, there's no chance. They don't have a chance to rectify it, because you just have, relative to your lifespan, expected lifespan, I guess, is that it's such a short period of time that you have your opportunity. It's like you just want to do everything right.
Yeah, and it's finding a balance of that. It is such a small opportunity. I need to give everything, but I also need to think about
the majority of life.
Which is hard.
The other 80% that I'll be living.
Yeah. So yeah, it is like a mental switch.
Do you think in an ideal world, like, would you want to step away from water polo, like, before it's too late? Like, there's a line, someone said, like, I'd rather leave a tad too early than a tad too late.
Yeah.
Like, do you think you'd rather be on the too early side, or?
I think so. Well, like if everything goes to plan, I go to the next two Olympics. The 2032 Olympics are in Brisbane. Like, that will be so sick to play in a home crowd. That will be incredible. But like, I'm 32.
Yeah.
So yes, that is something that I would like to do, but like, I have a body clock.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to push myself if I'm not at my peak anymore, just to
to be able to have that,
to say that I did that.
Yeah.
But I also think my coach is he's very switched on to that. Like, there's a couple girls that he has said, like, you're done, like, you need to move on, and they were like ready to go again, because he is like the same. You need to finish too early before it's too late.
100%.
So
yeah, that's cool. It's cool that your coach has that outlook, because I think, like, everyone's human. There's probably a lot of coaches out there that would get tied up in the emotional side of like, oh, like, they've had this amazing career. It's in their home country. Like, how special would that be? Even though there's another girl that's probably better for the job, we're going to put her in. And I think a lot of people would probably fall into that bias side, but it's sick that you have a coach that's just like, sounds like really objective, like all about getting the win, and like who's gonna create that team.
Like someone who has had this incredible career and has all the experience in the world, but once they're just going to be dragging themselves over the finish line. Or you can bring someone else that's new in and give them a crack, and they could, be there for 2-3 more cycles and really give a lot to the sport. It's like, it's kind of, you got to weigh that up.
And it comes back to the teamwork aspect you were talking about, where for you it's orientated around, like, for me to go out tonight impacts my training tomorrow, which impacts like how the team performs, not necessarily like how I perform as an individual. Like, it impacts the whole result. I think there's a very selfless nature to like playing in a team, which is cool. It's cool that you guys have that outlook. I think it transcends very well to other aspects of life and just makes you like overall a better person, I guess.
Yes, definitely.
Which is cool.
We always do at the end of the pod, we have a challenge that we want from you. So basically we call it the challenge of the week, Cal.
Yeah.
So we will like partake in the challenge you give us like across a week. But we want it to come from you. It can be related to anything in terms of what you've said today.
Just something completely random. There's no metric to it. Just
what are like some examples that you've been given?
This guy actually, from January 1st to the 31st, we have to do 15 pull-ups a day, but adding 15 every day. So by the end of the month, it's like 500.
On the last day.
Someone challenged us to take more risks. Someone challenged us to pay it forward.
Someone challenged us to, because they're a band, listen to like an album, but from start to finish, not on shuffle.
In full.
So with the intent of like the artist's track list.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Random stuff.
But like, take your time. Think about a challenge.
I'm going to give you guys that, like, I think I want you guys to, when you wake up in the morning, write 3 things you're grateful for. And then at the end of the day, write what went well in your day, and then what you want to work on for tomorrow.
I like that.
Okay. So it's not like
7 days do that.
Yeah, it's a very wholesome challenge. I love that.
Nothing like too extreme. But it, like, when you're like, oh, I can't be bothered. Just
it's those little things that are gonna have the biggest results. Like the little discipline of actually doing the writing, but then also working on the little things, because it's going to be the little things we do each day that we need to work on. It's not the massive thing. That's not going to change in a day. That takes time. But yeah, I think that'll have like great prolonged effects.
And tying that into you is like one of the biggest things I've taken from you in this conversation is just your commitment. So I think like writing down things in a day, going through the day, and then at night thinking about tomorrow. Like that really breeds commitment.
And reflecting on the day. That's important.
Yes, taking lesson from what you did this day and what can you take forward into the next. That's massive for commitment and discipline. I love it.
Thank you so much for coming on. Like honestly, you're just so inspirational.
Yes, you are.
Like,
oh, you hate that.
Yeah, I know you hate it. I know it makes you uncomfortable. Like, I've drawn so much inspiration from just talking to you, because like your level of commitment to the dream is so impressive.
It's very, very, very inspiring. And to take, like, obviously not to make you feel weird about it, but it's like for us, like, we obviously don't have like we aren't athletes, but we do other things that require that sort of commitment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and drive, dedication, the 1%ers. So like to see someone else doing that, it's just like you can really take a lot of like inventory from it.
So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you so much.
Cool.